newly, sort of,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if it wasn't
You'll
obvious,
be the
chair.
new executive director
you're
of
live.
the Progressive Party for years. Welcome everybody to the only House Progressive Caucus today, last Progressive Caucus before town meeting day break. We're closing in on crossover, and so we are going to take most of the time today to just update everybody on the work that our committees have been doing and the legislation that we've individually sponsored that is moving through the legislative process this year. But we're going to start off with an update on housing policy. The chair of House General and Housing is here with us, Representative Mark Mahaly, to update us on landlord-tenant legislation. And as Representative Cole will be also giving us an update on housing policy as well. So we'll start with that. First, we'll do a quick round of introductions, and then we'll get started. I'm Representative Kate Logan. I represent the Chittenden 16th District.
Representative Molly Tomlinson from Winooski. Representative Cole of Hartford.
Oh, Gene Hopkins, I'm with the League of Women Voters. We want to make sure to get housing.
Yes. Welcome.
I'm Mark Mahaly, I represent Caucus, Plainfield, and Marshfield, and chair of House General.
Heather Thomas, Executive Director of the Progressive Party.
Representative Brian Sheen of Burlington, Chittenden 15.
For the record, House Clerk.
Safety Karen, I'm a legislative assistant. Thank you. Great.
How long would you like me to take?
We are very interested in what you're working on, so please.
Okay, well, let me take a minute to talk about Section 8. Can I do that?
Yeah, please do.
Because it is so essential. Essentially, the House version of the VA was good. The Senate version was really not good. So there was a conference. In the conference, I spoke with Robin first, and I also spoke with Andy virtually. And Andy was kind of inclined to just go with the House. So I was feeling pretty good. The morning of that caucus, they got a letter just before the caucus from the administration saying, go with the Senate version, and we don't like the House version. So there was a long meeting in the hall downstairs with the countries, me and others, and I think the speaker was involved. And what emerged is not quite as bad as the Senate version, but it isn't good. It's basically just a process. There's no specific mention of an amount. It's just asking the housing authorities to specifically indicate the number of vouchers that they could save with money, and then silence.
And then giving the administration the authority to maybe do something about it.
Do something. So to me, what has to happen is I had a bill, a backup bill, which I didn't introduce to provide the $5 million. And in fact, that bill may have been back in the days when it was 7.9 million. I didn't introduce it because I thought we had it in the BAA, but we didn't. So I just gave Friday authority to the Ledge Council to introduce the bill, and to another option is to put it in the budget in the C section too. The problem, very specific problem. People tend to think of this as just a way of getting money into Section 8. And if you do that, then you get trapped in, gee, how much money is Congress appropriating? Gee, it went up a little, and isn't that okay? And why don't we wait until April when we know what's happening and all of this stuff? But that's not what this bill is. The $5 million, the way that HUD decides how much money they're going to give Vermont is they count up for the prior year the number of vouchers that are outstanding and rented per month. So it's voucher months rented, okay? for the year, and that determines how much money we get. What our share, think of a funnel. The top of the funnel is whatever Congress pours in. The bottom of the funnel is our share. We have been on a downward spiral because every year we have fewer and we have not enough money and the price of a voucher goes up, so real estate. So we have fewer vouchers, which means that in order to plan and not go broke by the end of the year, each housing authority retires vouchers to people leave their apartments, and we get less, which means that since we get less, that the next year they give us less. So the 5 million was to enable all the housing authorities to backstop them so they didn't have to retire vouchers. So that we could increase the number of voucher months rented. So that next year, and this is by calendar year, in calendar year 27, they would give us more money because of the number in 26, and so on going into the future.
Yeah.
But the longer we wait, we should have started in January.
Yeah.
The longer we wait, the fewer, the less months of the year we have left.
Can
count.
you backdate your bill implementation to January 1?
I don't know.
I think you can.
Same question. Well,
Interesting. I also have another question. I've never managed a Section 8 program, so I just don't know this. I know that my budget for rental assistance in the continuing care program increases every year on the basis of the fair market rent.
fair, high fair market rent,
Right, high fair market rent.
40%, but it's not real fair market, it's less,
Right,
but it's,
right.
By
And so the Section 8 budget doesn't increase for the fair market rent annually?
it hasn't. That's why the number of vouchers
I
goes
see.
down every year.
Yeah,
They don't have an inflation factor.
They don't,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so it's
Okay.
gone down every year, and now, basically. So anyway, that's one thing, the 5 million is for. The other is, there's 3 or 4 projects that have been completely committed. The capital stack is there to build them, they're ready to go, all based on the fact that there was a commitment, that there would be a certain number of Section 8 vouchers.
Like project-based housing.
Project-based vouchers, and so the housing authority has been forced to say, we can't do that. And so they're reneging, I mean, I'm not blaming them, they're having to renege on the project-based vouchers, which throws into question those projects.
Yeah.
Projects that are otherwise like beyond shovel ready.
Yeah, get it.
So anyway,
That's not good.
excuse my rant.
Well, we would definitely support you backdating a bill like
That's an
that to
interesting
January
question.
1.
Yeah, interesting question. But you see, the thing is, I don't think it would help, because in order to count, if I'm a housing authority, in order for that to count, I have to have aired my voucher with somebody, found them a place to rent, matched it to the rental, then it counts.
Well, so the
So
federal,
that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna do, no housing authority is gonna do anything until they know they have a guarantee.
Totally. but the federal fiscal year doesn't end.
It's not, it's
until
calendar year,
It is calendar.
because it's a program. Anyway,
Dang.
well, so if we get it in the budget, at least we'll have 6 months. If the
Sorry. what's your comment on
if
this?
the current bill, leave it to the e-board,
Yeah,
then that has to be when we're out of
Right.
session.
yeah,
That in turn won't occur.
right.
Let's say they meet in July, nice, maybe they won't. They meet in July, then it will be August before that we can start to look for rentals. And it will be September or October before they start to count, we will have lost 2/3 of the year.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're screwing it up.
Yeah.
Is there a way that we can support you on human services with this ask, the budget ask, like?
Maybe, I don't know what's gonna happen. If it's just in the budget, yeah,
Because.
right,
idea.
testify in favor of it when the budget comes around, testify in favor.
They're writing their letter right now.
Yes.
Put it in your budget letter,
Yeah.
put
Yes.
section 8, well, if you
But
want.
I think maybe offline, we can like collaborate on exactly what language would be helpful.
Yeah, well, I think what I need to do is get you my bill.
That could be helpful. too.
Okay, all right. much to say, believe it or not, about landlord tenant, because I don't, the bill is being substantially rewritten, and it's in 1 hour, we will start the walkthrough.
Yeah.
So,
Of the rewritten bill?
yeah. of the
So,
rewritten
so the
bill.
rewritten bill is on the
Yeah, no,
In an hour.
By the
It
time
will
we
be
start talking
on
about
at
it
1
soon.
o'clock it will be,
Okay.
but it's, put it this way. How can I summarize this in a way that is meaningful? Think of it this way. Let go for a moment of terms like no cause, for cause, just cause, et cetera. They're all riddled with exceptions. Just leave them behind. I think of it as two baskets. One basket is where the tenant is the cause, regardless of whether it's their responsibility. It's like non-payment of rent or doing something dangerous to the health and safety of the tenant. That's one basket. The other basket is where the landlord is the moving party. I'm not gonna renew it. I wanna convert the building to mine. I want condominium. I wanna remodel the building. A lot, so you can. I wanna, et cetera. All of those kinds of things, that's the other basket. So the bill does accelerate. I'm pretty sure if it gets out of committee at all, it will accelerate the process. Overall,
Number of bills.
772. We have 6 bills, but we're using 772 as a markup
Yeah.
device. Even, I'm not sure that will last, but we'll see.
I don't know, I can ask, I don't want to interrupt, you have more to say about that.
Yeah, how would you say those two buckets are
Okay.
shaking out?
Yeah, okay. With
Yes.
the bucket that is, the process, the eviction process, okay, is shortened for everything. However, for the tenant, the only thing for the landlord initiated things, there is a 3-month notice. A landlord must give 3 months notice to the tenant. The whole idea is, can you facilitate the tenant finding something in a shitty way? Okay. The second thing, which I would like, but it's just me, okay, will it make it? I don't know. Is I think that sometime during those 3 months, not at the end, the walkthrough should happen as a return of a part of the security deposit. So the tenant has money,
Nice idea.
because the tenant has to go out and put out another 2 months, first, last, and 2 months. The bill limits it. So, and there's there's a couple of $1 million for different things, including, for the first problem, the rental arrears, there's a rental arrears program which is running out of money. The bill has $1 million for that. We put that in our letter.
Yeah. We will put it in our bill.
Yeah, I really feel pretty strongly that that's really very, very high priority. Personally, for me, it's the highest. In other words, although I want PHCD to get as much as they possibly can, I still think that the rental repairs program is the most highest.
Does a lot to prevent evictions.
Yeah, I also think, I'm just trying to think. Something else. Oh, there's an absolute defense to eviction if there's a serious uncurious code violation. Absolute defense. That's in there. In other words, if someone tries to evict you and they have had a ticket, not for some little thing, but big thing, you have to, if you plead that and it's been proven, it just dismisses it. Which might be some motivation for landlords who are kind of fine about that. all the basic stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm familiar.
There's something I'm missing. There's a positive credit reporting, that's still in there, you know what I mean? Statewide, positive credit reporting.
Yeah.
That's gonna cost money.
But that program is gonna be no cost to the tenant then?
But it is $100,000.
Great. It's not that bad.
I'm worried, I'm worried because there's no money. In other words, all of these great ideas,
Right, costs something.
but I will push when I testify, I will push really hard for $1 million. There's 600,000, maybe, I don't know if it'll make it out, there's 200,000 for CDOEO to run a statewide landlord tenant courses all around the state.
They don't already receive funding to do
They,
that?
guess what? They got a grant that had so many conditions, like swear that you'll vote Republican forever.
Oh, basically,
No.
basically.
Wait, how do they?
No, not exactly.
Okay, okay.
It's not Kim, but it's a
No,
law.
you
It's
know,
on,
but
it's
like-
on that level.
Yeah, on that
Basically, be a
level.
Republican.
Yeah, right.
this in a
Well,
Republican way.
be, promise that, whatever, all the
Mhm.
social stuff they're doing.
Yeah,
So they didn't accept the grant, so this
you can't
replaces.
talk to an undocumented person.
Right,
You
right.
can't,
Right, so that, and they won't, and then there's the possibly $600,000 for ombudspersons to be planted in all the counties.
that'd be great.
Well, that kind of quote soft stuff, in my mind, is very important.
It is extremely
But,
important. Because right
I
now,
don't.
Vermont
know.
legal aid
We're-
is the only
we're-
place to
I
go.
mean, when, we're really in a pretty lousy situation.
Well, yeah, because we have not realized our full taxing potential in the state.
But I really caution you, this is
On
all
the right
this-
properties.
where you're catching me. That's why when I came to her and said, hey, can I come next week? She said, there is no.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah, I really appreciate it.
Watch the.
Yeah.
And also, I think what it'll be, maybe it's on our agenda all week, kind of on and off.
Yeah.
So what I suspect will happen, to help you follow it, is you'll see a walkthrough of the draft. Here's some comments. Probably there'll be another draft. Oh, there's in this, I think will be in this draft, labor unions and others advocated the 911 provision. You can call, anybody who makes any calls to try to prevent OD, that cannot be used as evidence of conviction. This is small stuff.
Yeah, it's important. It'll make a difference in like even one person's life. It's really doing.
Just to clarify, for the rent arrears assistance fund, there's other pathways other than this bill to get that funding?
Yes, huh?
No, I've just heard concerns that, like the funding for rent arrears, that could be jeopardized if this bill can't move, but it could be included in the
If
big
you
bill
put it
instead.
in a big bill,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And we
We'll
will
put it this
also-
way, one way or another, it's gonna be if it happens at all, they won't pay.
Right,
My experience on approach is they just strip everything out. They strip all the appropriations out of bills,
Mhm.
they dump them, put it in.
I do that every time, and then it's like at the end.
Yeah, because they don't want you to have, someone in the future to have to look in a half dozen different, or a dozen different places, find appropriations. It all belongs in the budget.
and do you think, this will come to a vote later this week in committee, or like what's the,
I think so.
that's the goal? Okay.
Yeah, that's the goal,
Okay,
all right?
all right.
Thank you,
I
everybody.
have a question.
Oh, yeah,
I'm being very patient, but I feel like,
Again,
Yeah.
shoot,
is there any room for considering adding in the language from the Land Access and Opportunity Act around tax incentives and penalties, support affordable housing, like I know you were out
Is
that.
there a bill?
Yeah, the Land Access and Opportunity Act is,
I thought there was, that there was a bill that just creates a fund and source of funding.
no, so in section 3 or 4 of the LAOB bill this year, there's a study between JFO and the Department of Taxes to look at using tax incentives and penalties to create affordable housing, and it talks about studying what is looking at the basic needs budgets and other measures of affordability, then looking at what are the factors currently driving rent pricing for landlords, and what would be incentives for helping landlords use existing benefits more so they can keep rent down. How can we incentivize landlords keeping rent down? How can we penalize excessive rent? How can we incentivize giving the tenants the right of first refusal in the sale of property? And so you'll probably hear from the LAOB staff about this idea.
What's the number of that?
Yeah, I'll tell you quickly. But
The
there's
reason
other.
I say it, I'll just to be clear, I don't think I wanna put anything in the landlord tenant bill that makes it have to go to Ways and Means.
Oh, well, I
It's
can hear that.
not because I don't like Ways and Means, it's because I wanna get it, I'm worried about the crossover, and it's gonna have to go to a vote.
Yeah.
But this other bill is a freestanding bill.
That's true, and you could chop out everything
Well,
but
we
this
have
section.
to, you know, I gotta say, with 775, which is the rural finance bill, and the mobile home bill, and these three blockbuster bills have just taken all of the energy we've got. And so we have to do, if and when we either vote out the landlord tenant bill or fail to completely, then we can take a breath and look at what's on our wall. What's this bill number?
It's 826. Yeah, and I guess if that was your approach, I would say look at the whole thing and see what you can do.
Right.
But the section I was talking about is section 4.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate the consideration
No,
too.
I will consider it.
And how about, the bill on, giving the state labor relations board the authority to act as their national labor relations board?
I think we were told it would be unconstitutional. No, we were told that there was a legal problem with it. Yeah, we were.
By who?
Sophie,
Oh,
our counsel.
the person who wrote the bill?
Yeah,
But you know what? Let me look.
That's
I'll
okay.
get back in touch with you. But
Because I think we
what's the-
resolved,
it's, okay, I
I
know
can't
what it
remember
is.
the bill number. Unfortunately, I have to go.
Yeah, I know the bill.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember.
Because
you introduced
we
it.
did talk about, what would make it unconstitutional, and we, specifically chose language so that
Okay.
it wouldn't be unconstitutional. It's very, very limited in its scope, but depending on how the midterms go, we should prepare first.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to our.
Thank you,
this.
and please,
Thank
I
you.
don't, like, let us
Oh,
know
I
on
have
human
to send
services,
you
how we can help. I don't know if you've chatted with Teresa
just,
yet, but I think
send
we should
myself.
be allies more than we already are, I hope.
Okay, all right.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye,
Ben.
Good luck getting through that
Yes.
bill.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
What else are we gonna cover and for how long?
So we were going to give our own, like, reports on what we've accomplished in our committees, like a town meeting day report, that's on camera, but that took up a lot of our time.
Yeah, I don't know I feel like it's too soon to do that for me, because so much up in the air. I can say one thing one day, today, and it goes.
Well, I was just gonna talk about what's passed out of my committee already and what's about to pass out today.
Was that thing gonna talk about the?
My
Well, I
update is
just
very
wanted to do
small.
a time check and see what we wanna do on our agenda. Do we want to hear updates from committees, or do we wanna prioritize information as news or representative?
I don't know, I have to go to my committee, and I'm working on stuff for my committee, so.
My update is
We
mostly
have
stay
10
tuned
10
anyway,
minutes.
but I can take less than 10 minutes.
If you could take a few.
And then I might just leave and go do my work, and then you all can present to the public. There's nothing I have to
Here with
present
human
like today.
services, oh,
I'd rather wait till after town,
there's
until
twice a
after
week,
town
we'd
meeting
like
day,
to see
because
everyone's house and more
there's just
permanently.
not,
It's-
I could say something
We
today and it could be
register
completely
to
different
vote
Friday,
so
so.
I guess
Oh my
that's kind of
God.
true for us too, especially because
You
we're.
know,
That's really
I actually wrote a suggestion.
We're not doing anything
to
other than just
legislators
email
about
just so much that's up in the air that I don't wanna like say something and then it goes sideways and then I'm wrong in one day.
And that is.
Just
which
watch
address
the legislative
they
website,
fill
healthcare
out.
committee page for
But
latest.
they may
Okay,
have
so we'll give it a
moved,
crossover
you know,
update,
for
closer to
jobs or
crossover.
different
Yeah,
things and then.
Exactly, the week of crossover,
When they
that
know
makes
where their
sense.
voting
Okay.
community
If
is.
Esmond wants to give us an update on something.
Yeah, on housing policy.
Sure, I mean, I guess the major update is that we have had 3 iterations of what is to be our comprehensive system-wide homelessness bill, and not drafts, we're not talking about different drafts, we're talking about 3 separate bills.
Yeah.
We started with 594, I believe, which was Eric McGuire's bill, and then we switched over to a new draft, which didn't get a draft name. And then actually, you know what, so this weekend, in response to the administration who basically gave a preemptive veto to our latest bill draft, Teresa spent this weekend working with Katie McLean to draft something different, and I actually am not totally certain if it's, maybe it is another draft of the draft that does not have a bill number yet. So
Do you
my.
know the draft number?
Yeah, well, my advice too would be that draft is gonna be posted on our committee page, the latest one, which I have not yet seen. That's gonna happen at 9 AM tomorrow morning. So that's gonna be our last, because of timing, like, that's all we can pretty much do except for markup within that bill. So at 9 AM tomorrow, we're gonna look at the latest draft, which, I mean, who's to say whether or not the administration will
Sure.
humor us, I guess. But yeah, their last testimony was basically like, all you wanna do is continue the GA program, which is absolutely, it almost felt like a PR thing,
Yeah,
like
it was.
rather than like looking at the actual policy itself, because it had nothing to do with the policy that we wrote.
Oh, yeah, no, it definitely was a PR thing, he's great at that.
Yes,
You just say it, and it's true.
yes, so that isn't true, that's absolutely not true, and I asked a lot of questions, I'm like, why does it seem that you think that we wanna continue this program? The differences within the bill itself would be, or from the governor's proposal, is really, trying to create a real continuum of care within all our houselessness services that we have across the state, including better case management, or access to services integrated into, like, for example, you know, as we know it now, like the GA program is not a program, as all of us are well aware. It's a benefit, and so wanting to do that integration through statute, because, and, you know, Eric McGuire would be very happy to hear, and the governor as well, that I guess we would title it as basically doing away with the GA benefit, but rather incorporating it into like, sort of,
Like
exactly,
programming.
exactly, that's the biggest piece, because right now the DCF has control over like who is getting into, the motels, and it's not serving, like, for example, people who even meet the criteria that they laid out are still getting denied shelter, and then they bring appeal after appeal to the, economic services, the Human Services Board of Appeals, and a lot of resources are going into fighting, you know, the same people in the same circumstance who are being denied, even though they, according to the rules, should have been able to get access to shelter. So, in order to streamline and make that less sort of, I don't know if partisan is the right word, but arbitrary kind of, depending on which caseworker you meet with, we wanted to have like a very much more integrated system. And our first proposal was to maybe extend HMIS as a system that would be used for intake, not only in the organizations that are already using it, but like really across the board. Anyone who interacts sort of in a case managery type way with folks in need of services. And I guess we're steering away from that now because of the costs of doing that.
Really?
Yeah, based on testimony we received from Taylor Tebow.
From CVO?
Yes, and another, and
I'm trying to think. From Institute for Community Alliances?
I believe, no,
Or
I'm sorry.
Or Molly Shimko. from
No, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I'll have to look back at it, but we got one day of testimony on that, and the providers said that it would be too hard to,
So.
and too much money to figure out how to apply HMIS to everyone, which would have been like a more neutral, effective way to categorize people's like emergency, who needs to be prioritized on the list.
Well, a lot of people who have a short-term shelter need,
Yeah.
like they don't get prioritized
Yeah,
in coordinated entry. In
Yeah.
order to enter shelter, you get to immediately enter if
Yeah.
there's an open bed.
yeah,
So I think establishing a prioritization process for essentially what is shelter
yeah,
would be very challenging. I agree with that.
totally. Okay, well, that's helpful feedback too from this caucus. So I think the direction, but we'll see.
Entering their data into HMIS would be a really good idea.
It is good, especially for tracking, like,
Yeah.
what is the demographic, what's going on, like, what are people's needs that are suffering?
Yeah, it's really hard
Issues.
that Economic Services Division
Yeah.
has an entirely separate database for literally 100% of
Yeah.
every other homeless services
Yeah.
provider in the entire state,
Yeah.
who's all on HMIS.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish we had better integration there, but it sounds like in this bill, we aren't going to do any kind of expansion of HMIS based on that testimony last week. And, my understanding in terms of categorization, unlike the agency's proposal to have caps on like day limits on like hotel use, even if it's in a different format, which has a more of a shelter setting, like with integrated services, they still want to do caps on nightly use. Ours would do more of a budgetary cap, based on like how many rooms are available. And the criteria we would use to, rank need, basically, I think are gonna come from H91. And the needs or the categories that we outlined there. But that's just my prediction and what I've heard, so the final answer will be tomorrow morning at 9, what they present for the new draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, quick question, or I hope quick question. So if the benefit, the GA emergency housing benefit moves over into Office of Economic Opportunity for administration, does that mean that OEO is gonna be, like, making grants to local community-based organizations in order to implement the hotel vouchers?
That
Is that, because it feels like that's the big
It is.
administrative question,
Absolutely,
rather than the local AHS offices.
yeah, I don't have a final answer, I don't think on
Okay.
that, but I think that input is critical. And like, especially with markup tomorrow, like if we do need to lean in that direction, then I think we should talk about that, so that I can advocate for that in the room. The other piece that I think is really critical to recognize is that we're not even fighting about money. Teresa has made it very clear that the amount of money that the governor has proposed is precisely what we will be spending. It's just the structuring of how to most effectively allocate those dollars so that people get services that they need and to prevent increased rates of houselessness.
Yeah.
Like we have a different plan. And it is not to just drop people off in hotel rooms and leave them alone, as has been the agency's, way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I will say,
which
with
they didn't
legislative.
have to do. They didn't have to do it that way.
What do you
They have
mean?
been doing it.
Yeah, no,
That was their choice.
I totally agree. But all that is to say that I really think it's important, we're not talking about an increased appropriation, like in fighting with the governor. And so it is a total lie that, if they do perpetuate the myth that we wanna just like increase people's tax bills and we just wanna cause a lot of violence and mass sheltering of hotels or something, because that's been the messaging campaign, it is absolutely not the case. And I really hope that we can say that we are literally doing the same thing that you are requesting. So we're on the same page there with that. It's just about how to allocate the resources. And a lot of that is to transition away from the GA program so long as we actually have a place to put somebody, a room to put somebody in, which would be hopefully even more of
Build homes, not bombs.
Yes, so that's a good motto too. I'll throw that as an amendment in
So
there.
will all of those resources then go into the Housing Opportunities Program? Is that the idea, do you know?
Let's see, I have, there is, by all those resources, are you talking about like,
The Economic Services Division GA Emergency Housing
Yep.
Budget, will all of those funds go over into the Housing Opportunities Program?
through OEO?
Through OEO?
That is what we want to propose,
Okay,
yes.
and I would imagine does the administration have a problem with that?
Yes, they do not want to relinquish control. My understanding is from DCF and the way things are going, and right.
Gotcha.
They want her to have control, basically, is my understanding. This is all very personal from my witnessing of these conversations and their testimony. And, but I think we'll only know for real tomorrow,
Okay,
like,
thanks for the heads up.
yes, it seems like that's the fight about where control lies, and I don't know. There's also another element which is not included in the governor's proposal, which has to do with, a small amount of funding for municipalities, because we've heard a lot of testimony from municipalities about, having to deal with the consequences of unsheltered homelessness and sheltered homelessness, people who are not having their basic needs met, for a variety of reasons. So, the municipalities will have say in how those funds are to be allocated, and they can apply through OEO, is the plan. But it's not a huge amount of money, because we need to stay within the governor's budget recommend. So. That's some stuff. I know I'm forgetting stuff. There's also,
Be refreshing the website at 9 a.m.
Yeah, refresh. There's also, I'm really glad that Mark talked about, rental arrears, and, we have talked about that significantly in our committee, and saying that that is a huge priority to have a budget, in our budget request, to talk about, a rental bridge program, which has been proposed to us. So it's something.
That's great.
You're gonna include that and section in
Well,
the budget letter?
I am concerned that we have not talked nearly enough as a committee about the importance of what Mark just talked about in drawing down federal funds to the max of our ability in our committee. So I'm really glad that he was here today, because I feel like we need to communicate that more to my committee.
Maybe someone can give testimony.
I hope so, although the timing is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Because this is the final hour.
Yeah, when is your budget letter getting voted on? Thought it was done last
Today. Yeah. Hey. So I'm sure I'm missing things, but this is an ongoing conversation, and, I'm just concerned. I hope we don't end up in the same place that we have, because it's just vetoed and then it's like, oh, now what?
Hurting.
Exactly. People are really suffering, and all of this. Another major difference between the agency's proposal is that they said that they were talking to different groups that provide these services, but we don't have evidence. Maybe like one or two, maybe Brock or something, or but really the whole.
Because you have a committee member who works at Brock.
That could be, I don't know, and I can't verify this, but the sense that I'm getting, and the proof that we have as a committee, is we have taken testimony from a whole wide array of, people who we would be asking to support this work.
Yeah.
So at least the input is there, and so this isn't just like we're throwing something at the wall because we think we're hoping that it's a good idea. Like, we've carefully considered the testimony of, different witnesses in this, so it's not just random.
Is there a draft of the committee bill available?
This
The
is,
prior
yeah,
version?
this is the one, yeah, I printed it out for
Thank you.
this, yeah.
So it's 260766. Draft 2.1 is the most recent version. Okay, I'll go find out your committee page.
Yeah,
Because I want to know what yours looked like before
Of
it gets
course.
butchered. Okay,
yeah.
thank you. We should wrap up, so everybody can get back to their committee rooms. Thank you, Esme. We ended up having like an unintentionally excellent caucus on housing policy, so thank you.
Very helpful.